wouldn't be surprised if Alberto brought the same four and it just plans on making different in-game decisions as opposed to the team preview decisions, while at the same time, honestly, both the four from both of them were well chosen and thought out, and I don't have a lot of changes that I would really make. I think this is more of a game that comes down to in-game decisions, which is honestly is kind of rare. I don't think I've ever really said that on the stream before, that like you don't really need to make team preview adjustments, just play a little better. Not to say they weren't playing bad, because that game, again, very well played.
That was only game one.
Yeah, that was only game one. But you know, pressure's on Alberto now. But I believe Alberto is the sort of player that can handle that annoying detrimental pressure.
Is Alberto going to be able to keep his World's invite dream alive just from this tournament? He needs to win. Hayden, I'm not exactly sure how much championship points he's at, but I'm sure Hayden would also want to win as well. Marowak and Tapu Fini are led for Hayden. Tapu Koko and Arcanine leads for Alberto.
Again, the Marowak. I think Marowak, honestly, is a Pokemon that has been kind of underrated throughout the season. And you're seeing why right here. Koko and Arcanine are not Pokemon that deal with Marowak at all. So, again, we're going to have to see a situation in which Alberto relies on the Tapunium. Now, we might see a situation where he decides to go for Guardian of Alola on the Marowak, follow that up with an Arcanine hit to just remove it immediately. By doing
But
this,
you have to respect the protect.
You do. But, I mean, that comes down to reading your opponent and, like, risking the decision. Like, figuring out, like, okay, well, like, what do I lose if I do this? And I don't – oh, man. Okay, Dewey, you got me.
Well, it's going to redirect Lightning Rod anyways.
No, yeah, he's going for Tapunium.
Yeah, that's only going to do, like, 18.75. What's 75 divided by 4?
Isn't it 18.75?
I think so. So it's only –
Put me on the spot for mathematics.
It could be towards the
It could be towards the Fini, and Alberto is a player that can definitely read that. I mean,
we'll have to see what this Guardian is going to smash. And boom! Hits that Fini for 75%.
The evil grin on that trainer sprite.
Yeah. As Arcanine goes for a Flare
the double tap.
No, into that Marowak instead. Tapu Fini not using his turn to set up a sub or anything at all. Just going to go straight for Muddy Water.
I mean, he's not going for sub is pretty safe, because if there was a double tap, no, you know, it would have activated the berry anyway. Personal decision, really. Getting that spread damage, good idea. Arcanine is lower, Koko is lower. He's not doing anything. The position looks great for Hayden. Initially, I thought that Hayden had the slight team disadvantage. But you're really seeing the problem with adapting to Marowak. Plenty of teams and players sleep on Marowak easily, and that's part of why I thought Alberto had the initial advantage, because I was sleeping on Marowak.
Don't sleep on Marowak.
Don't sleep on Marowak.
Don't sleep on Marowak.
Don't put baby in a corner.
All right, Arcanine going for the extreme sweep. Tapu Fini dodges it, and Tapu Koko goes for a Nature's Madness. That does connect onto what I believe is going to be the Marowak, so that extreme sweep would have been close to picking up the KO. As Tapu Fini uses his turn to set up a substitute, going to go and activate that berry.
Math striking back.
Going to go ahead and heal back to over 50%. As Tapu Fini puts in a substitute, and Marowak goes for a Flare Blitz here.
Undoubtedly on Koko.
Oh, yeah, going to most likely pick up the KO here. It is intimidated, so actually, yeah, Tapu Koko wasn't, or Marowak was intimidated, so Tapu Koko does hang on.
You're probably seeing a decent balance and training of the Marowak between bulk, power, and speed. He has enough to outspeed Celesteela. I have very little doubt that he doesn't have bulk in some way, and not enough to Flare Blitz KO that Koko through Intimidate, even though we know that it is Thick Club Adamant, which is a physical attack raising nature. The position's looking great for Hayden. Once again, tough time touching that Tapu Fini at all. He can really just protect Marowak, Muddy Water, preserve the sub, extreme speed might deal with that, but he's leaving.
Yeah, Arcanine does not want to stay in. Going to go into Garchomp here, an adjustment from Alberto. Notice that we haven't seen the Tapu Lele just yet. Marowak going to protect itself. Stay around for just a little bit longer here as Tapu Koko goes for a Nature's Madness. Going to hit this Tapu Fini here. Will it fade the sub, or will it fade the sub? It does fade the sub. And now
it always fades the sub.
It depends on how it's trained, I think. Muddy Water connects. I forgot what dodged it. I think it was, well, here you go. Yeah, the Chomp dodged it, and Tapu Koko gets knocked out.
I mean, that's not a huge issue. I think it, again, comes down to the way the Pokemon are trained. That could be a fairly bulky, as they tend to be, Tapu Fini, that might just not care about the Earthquake. And we know from one stream yesterday, personal experience on my part as well, that that is Choice Scarf Garchomp. So he can't, and the Z move has been used. So he couldn't just Tech Rage the Tapu Fini. If Fini can take the Earthquake, that is pretty annoying. But at the same time, there's a little reason not to Earthquake Heavy Slam and aim at the Fini. Again, no Intimidate on Hayden's side. Celesteela is the most annoying Mon, I think, for Hayden's game plan generally. By wearing down the Marowak, which he has done successfully, Celesteela once again becomes this sort of imposing threat, the sort of Great Wall that maybe not is directly annoying, but the pressure from just sitting there forever will eventually wear you down.
Marowak switches out. Snorlax going to come in, going to try to take a possible Earthquake here. The Earthquake does come out from that Garchomp and going to connect on both Tapu Fini and Snorlax. I'm not sure how much damage that's going to do to that Tapu Fini, but Tapu Fini hangs on thanks to the amount of bulk. As Tapu Fini goes for Moonblast, but is that going to be enough? That's going to be close. This Tapu Fini is not boosted.
Wow.
Garchomp hangs on. So, oh, well, Celesteela.
That is a very well-trained Garchomp.
Yeah, Celesteela just going to pick up the KO, though, with the Heavy Slam, and at the same time get a Beast Boost to boost his special defense.
I mean, this is part of what I was talking about earlier with the in-game adaptation. Earlier, the speed reveal on Marowak was huge, and that surprise really shifted the overall balance into Hayden's favor by removing Celesteela in the first place. By identifying that Marowak was the largest threat to the Celesteela game plan, and by effectively playing around it, and he did so very well, like very well. We need to emphasize that. The game is looking excellent for Alberto. The way that Hayden needs to adjust in-game now is by removing Garchomp and Lele is probably – no, it's Arcanine.
What's that? Arcanine's in the back.
Chomp, Arcanine.
Celesteela.
Oh, duh. God. Goodness. Okay. That is the thing to bring out. But the problem is basically he needs to remove Garchomp in order for Marowak to do what it needs to do. But because Alberto knows this, he has very little reason to currently risk Garchomp. This is another situation like last game where the Arcanine switch is free money. Again, all physical attackers left, no Tapu Fini. Celesteela does not care about Snorlax Kartana. Celesteela probably does not have Flamethrower because Alberto has mentioned to me many times personally that he believes that Flamethrower Celesteela is garbage.
Well, we see Arcanine come in, going to drop some Intimidates right here onto the Kartana and that Snorlax. This could be a chance for Snorlax to possibly set up a substitute, or it's not a substitute, a curse. Kartana goes for the Leaf Blade, hitting that Arcanine for not that much damage thanks to the resistance, thanks to the Intimidate. And now Celesteela goes for a Heavy Slam, hitting that Kartana slot and not doing much damage at all, as Snorlax does use his turn to set up a curse. This is it, Snorlax endgame.
It's definitely Snorlax endgame, but it's also Celesteela endgame. Now, what was good about the turn for Hayden is that was honestly not terrible damage on Arcanine. I don't think Grassium Z can pick it up, but Snorlax definitely can. So if Snorlax removes Arcanine, you force Garchomp to come back out. If you force Garchomp to come back out, it can't do anything against Lax. He would still theoretically have Kartana out, and Garchomp can't protect. So you remove Garchomp as well. In doing that, there's nothing stopping Marowak from coming back in. Quick Flare Blitz. Money.
Flare Blitz on the what?
On the Celesteela, because you have to KO Arcanine and Garchomp.
Yep, and that's faster. So Kartana uses its turn to set up a substitute.
Yeah, exactly.
Predicting it pretty well that Arcanine does not want to get KO'd just yet. Celesteela puts in its own substitute here. A throwback to the early metagame of what?
Did you notice that the Kartana sub is little, but the Celesteela sub is big?
It's just about angles and perspective.
Is it?
I don't know.
I hope it's not. I hope that's actually tied to like the size of the Pokemon. But that turn was fairly null. Like Alberto's obviously going to protect his late game win condition. But Kartana for Hayden is a pivotal piece in getting Celesteela alone so that he can deal with it. That said, the sub on Celesteela is actually huge because it prevents Marowak from just walking back in and flare blitzing freely. If it were to happen, the situation I laid out earlier in which you make Celesteela the last one, but it still has the sub, Marowak goes first, removes the sub, it gets a bit of recoil, just heavy slam it, take it out, Lax versus Celesteela, which would be a gross situation.
Arcanine going for the extreme speed, revealing the life orb. I'm sure it's been revealed before.
Yes.
Yep. And now Kartana going to go for a Bloom Doom. What's it going to target? Probably that Arcanine.
Yeah.
Maybe it can pick up the KO.
Trying to get the beast boost, get that attack stat back.
Yo, that'd be great.
Do you have a favorite Z move now that we're staring at Z moves real quick? Just real quick.
Actually, I like the
Honestly,
more obscure
terrible.
ones. I remember I saw Acid Downpour ones. And
I've
that is
never
enough.
seen that.
That is enough to pick up the KO on the Arcanine. Going to go ahead and boost that Kartana's attack stat back to neutral because of that Intimidate from earlier. And now Snorlax probably going to just go for another Curse here. And Celesteela is, again, content to just go for the Heavy Slam. Going to try to fade that substitute on Kartana to set up Garchomp to be able to come in and maybe pick up a KO possibly.
I don't know if Garchomp can actually remove Kartana. And let's say it can. I don't know if Celesteela can actually beat Snorlax in the one-on-one. It's a weird situation. The sub makes it so that you're fairly safe. The Leechy is going to be helpful the whole time. Celesteela recovers a huge amount because Snorlax health stat is just absurd.
All Hayden has to do is set up a situation where Marowak can come in while Celesteela's substitute is faded.
Yeah. But that's I don't know how well it's going to go. Because Garchomp threatens you enough that you need to remove it, because if he KOs Kartana with Garchomp and forces Marowak out, it's no bueno. At the same time, you could just protect the Marowak and then attack the Garchomp, but then the sub would still be up. It's not good.
That's why Hayden's taking so much time. He has to realize, he has to figure out what the position is going to be.
It's a delicate situation, and he does go for the
goes
burn.
for the Fire Fang on the Snorlax. You don't want the burn because the Facade's going to do a lot more damage.
Well, yeah, but if you can get it down to the 1-versus-1 situation, you're going to take that trade because the Facade won't KO by any means the Celesteela, but at the same time you're getting that extra 6% of damage every turn.
That's fair. Kartana now at one stage of increased physical attack thanks to that Beast Boost, and Celesteela now using this turn to set up the Leech Seed on that Snorlax.
This situation is rough, and Hayden did that correctly. He removed Arcanine, and he removed Garchomp. What is different about this situation than I anticipated is he did that far more cleanly than I expected. I expected Kartana to be gone by this point, and it's not. So you have a 3-versus-1 on Celesteela. Now, Celesteela is a Mon definitely capable of getting through these kinds of situations, but that's speaking generally. In this situation, you have Snorlax, which we're pretty sure has Recycle. You have Kartana, which has Substitute, a Celesteela with no Flamethrower, and a Marowak in the back. At this point, Alberto played very well the whole tournament. I would not blame him for pressing run right now. I don't think you should actually do that because play it out.
Your tournament life's on the line. You don't really just run. You play till you're out.
It's a grim situation.
Yep, and Kartana using this turn to set up a substitute. Celesteela using this turn to go for a heavy slam. Alberto just trying to claw his way back to victory with the Celesteela 1v3. Snorlax using Curse. He needs to set up this Curse to be able to have Snorlax be able to break the substitute. Again, right as Marowak comes in.
Man, you're not going to tell me that sub is smaller than that other sub.
You're still hung up about this.
Look at him! That is chibi sub, dude. Oh, my goodness.
that is small sub, yep.
Excellent design, Game Freak. I'm giving you big credit for that.
Kartana now goes for the Sacred Sword, going to fade the substitute. Kartana is at one stage of increased attack from all the Beast Boosts that it got. And there it goes. Bye-bye sub. And Celesteela goes for a heavy slam. No turn to set up a substitute here. Yeah, so
but anyway, it wouldn't matter anyway because at this point he can just start sacred sorting the subs. This is going to be a slow burn, really. It's worth noting that Cartana can't sub anymore. The problem is it doesn't need to. If he goes for another heavy slam on Cartana, you're taking Sacred Sword damage. Then you're taking the Facade damage. Even if you KO the Cartana, here comes Marowak. You're done. He's going to have to set up another substitute to win the game, but because Cartana does go first. But I don't know if he'll ever really get into a situation in which he preserves the sub before Marowak comes out, unless Hayden loses his mind and he's like, you know what, 23 HP Cartana, take a rest, bud. Here comes Marowak, and he like heavy slams it.
Hayden's still taking a lot of time. That might be something that Alberto...
It's delicate, and he should be taking his time.
Yeah, but maybe that's also one of Alberto's outs, hoping that Hayden takes too much time on his turns to somehow get your time to end.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Me neither, really.
All right,
but
Alberto forfeits that.
I don't blame you. Well, very well played, Alberto. In fact, yeah.
Hayden played also.
No, that was a very good set. That game was 2-0, but that says nothing of how that match went. You can have a 2-0 game that is just a super hard climb for both players. And in honor of Alberto.
So, there you have it. Hayden McTavish advances to the top 4, where he awaits the winner of Aaron Zhang and Nikolai Zielinski. Oh, boy.
It's very interesting to me, Hayden's sort of perspective. Again, I mentioned this a bit when I was on for like 2 minutes yesterday. Hayden asked a few players in which he thought opinions mattered, how they approached regionals and how they thought they were consistent at regionals. You know, myself, Alberto, Cams, a bunch of people, Colin. And we have just seen Hayden, who's won Worlds. And, I mean, at that point, it's almost sort of like, I've done better than this at a bigger level. Why aren't I doing this well at smaller levels? It's interesting to see that one of the people Hayden was asking for advice on regional consistency, he knocked out in Top Cut.
Alberto, multiple regional championships, always a threat to Top Cut. I mean, he Top Cut St. Louis.
He's Top Cut a bunch of regional. He's Top Cut more regionals than I have this season.
That's not hard.
Dude, I Top Cut a lot.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I've Top Cut at least over 5 times.
Over 5 times?
Yeah, that's a lot.
Over 5 times.
You saying that's not a lot?
Well,
it's more than fingers on my hand.
I'm not sure if we updated you guys on the rest of the bracket. Conan Thompson defeated Bennett Piercy, so Conan and Max will be playing in the top 4. Hayden could possibly face off against another former world champion, in Nikolai Zielinski, if Nikolai Zielinski can actually take out Aaron Cybertron Zhang.
I'd kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Aaron, hey buddy. Maybe don't win. Maybe. Oh, but no, it should be.